Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, coming at you today with our first episode of April 2nd. Crazy. Hope you guys had a great Easter weekend. Had lots of turkey, chicken, chocolate, whatever it is you eat for Easter. I personally went all out with chocolate and stuff this year. So now I always do the holiday thing where it happens every holiday where, you just eat as much as you can. And then you're like, okay, now I need to fast for the next week to just, to just recover from it. So I'm at that stage right now. I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm not kidding. So yeah, guys, hopefully it was a great Easter this year. And it's weird because it always changes up each year. So because last year it came what would be next week, and it was just, yeah. Anyways, we made it. Hope you guys enjoyed it this year. And so moving on with the show today. First off, I want to give a little plug for an upcoming event on Thursday night. Bridget and Kate's Drama Extravaganza at Miramichi Valley High School. So this is, of course, the MVHS Drama Club presents Bridget and Kate's, that's Bridget Perry and Kate Berry's Drama Extravaganza, an evening full of short scenes and surprises, hosted by the aforementioned hosts, Bridget Perry and Kate Berry. Come check out the showcase of student talent. All proceeds go to the Drama Club's trip to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this summer. Tickets are $20 and can be reserved by calling 627-4083 or purchased at the door. So this is, of course, Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. at Miramichi Valley High School. And so, yeah, guys, definitely be sure to show some support for them and support the Drama Club at this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This don't happen for many people. To say that they went to Edinburgh. So let's get them there. Let's get them there, guys. And next we have the St. James and St. John's United Church Drama Troupe presents Heavens to Murgatroyd, Dessert Theater, April 5th, 6th, and 7th at the United Church Center, 556 King George Highway at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30, and you can call 506-622-1598 for reservations, and tickets are $20. Great cast. I'm super excited to be part of this as well, too. And come show some support, guys. We had some great stuff happening this weekend, and we would just love... It's just so great to see it all, just to see theater in general. Yeah, nothing better. So there's our plug for this week. And just definitely be sure, guys, come support local talent, because it's really amazing. It's really amazing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in the play. It's a great show, and we think you guys will have a great time. Anyways, moving on. We have a very special guest today, Kristyn Green. Kristyn, you guys who have watched O'Donnell's on Bell 5 TV1, we had Jimmy McKinley, of course, and Erica McLean, the two co-creators of the show, on back in January. And so for those of you guys who have seen the show, she plays Zoe. And she's also a hilarious comedian. She also has her new entertainment business, Kristyn Green Productions. It was a great chat. Just love chatting with her. She's so talented. Also, guys, be sure to check out Frostbite, a Walking Dead fan film she took part in. It's on YouTube. It's fantastic. And, always a blast talking with Kristyn. So funny and just multi-talented. And and also follow her on Instagram. Kristyn Green, what's yours? Is her Instagram name, and then you can also find her on Facebook as well. It's a great discussion, and talk about a lot of things, and just that's all I'm going to say. Just watch the interview or listen to the interview, and you'll see what I mean. Later on the show, I want to talk about the controversy with Jonathan Majors just keeps on going. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and give my thoughts. And then I'm going to review, after that, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, Season 1 just wrapped up. And was it good? Was it bad? Did it disappoint? Did it deliver? Let's discuss it later. So anyways, guys, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast today. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, and today we're coming at you with a very special guest. She's an actress, she's a comedian, she's just a all-around entertainer who now has her own entertainment business, Kristyn Green Productions. I am joined by Kristyn Green. Kristyn, what's going on?
Hi, Franky. Namaste. Thank you for having me.
I'm so honored to have you here. Well, I'm such a fan now, especially after so of course, earlier this year, we were talking about O'Donnell's, which has been such a big success. And, congratulations on that as well, too. How has it been since the show's been out? And correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first big acting part? I didn't believe you when you told me
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, that is true. So I used to act like when I was a kid a bunch and all throughout like grade school, and then I stopped, and then it's been years and years and years, and then I just happened to be asked for this. I got asked to audition for it because uh like I'm originally from New Brunswick, and I know that they were trying to get a lot of New Brunswick talent, but also I have been doing stand up, and I have been hosting professionally, and I've been working in the film and television industry. And anyway, so then one of the producers um, asked if I like acted, and I was like, oh no, like I don't. But anyway, and then but it just had been so long. It was so surreal. Anyway, so I auditioned for it, and I got the role, and and then I didn't know until like a few days before we were shooting that I was even number one on the call sheet. Like I didn't even know. Like I'd read the script obviously, but I kind of anyway. I just it was like the biggest surprise ever, and it just was the craziest thing. So I hadn't acted in like 13, 14 years probably, and then I did this, and it ended up being like the lead, which is crazy. And so it was all just really surreal, and I actually like still don't believe that it happened. Like you asking like how does it feel, and I'm like, I don't even know if it was real. Like was it? Like I don't
What was
know.
I doing in New Brunswick that week? What was I doing? Did that even happen? Like,
Yeah, and my brain is like, well, did I just hang out in a pub for a week, like in Miramichi? I think that's exactly what I did. But it was just the funnest. Oh yeah, it was just incredible.
and then you're on the poster too. If you type in O'Donnell's on like IMDb and Bell TV, you're up there with your arms crossed.
Yeah.
Type it in, guys, on Google, O'Donnell's Atlantic, and you'll see Kristyn just looking at you like just very like
Oh,
gets
I
this.
tried so hard. I tried so hard to be like pouty and like I anyway, and like I didn't care. And I think we had to take a lot of photos to get that. But yeah, even that blew my mind. Like it just was the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in some ways.
Well, really, well, and then I just couldn't believe when you said like you hadn't acted in like 14, 15 years. Cause I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Like just watching
Oh,
how you played Zoe or Zoe, I almost said Zoe,
yeah.
same thing. But watching how you played her and everything, it was like she's been at this for so long, it seems like. And even just so I first met you, of course, we had it was I think the third day of shooting. I was upstairs, or well, we were all upstairs waiting for the
Yeah.
scenes, and I kind of saw you off in the corner. It was just very brief. Hi, I'm Kristyn. Hi, I'm Frank. And then I was like, oh my god, I think that's lead. I was actually like, oh my god, I was kind of intimidated.
No, no, you
I'll be
weren't.
honest. I'll be honest. A little bit. I was kind of like, oh my god, like she's like the star of the show. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, like there's a little bit of, and now I'm talking to you here. I'm like, oh my god, why was I scared?
that's so funny and so sweet, Frankie. Because I honestly, yeah, I never felt that way about myself. I guess, like, I didn't think it was. I didn't feel like I had a big enough thing to be intimidating about. If that makes sense. If that
You just
makes
had all the
sense.
star power. It felt like, you know what I
Oh,
mean? But I mean, you've been doing this for, or maybe not the acting for a long time, but just entertainment in general. I mean, of course, stand up comedy you do. You got now, of course, this new entertainment business. What's this all about? Kristyn Green
oh,
Productions just launched.
that is a great question. I'm actually still trying to figure that out myself. I think. So it kind of started because Oh wow. I might have to go back a little bit,
Oh
Frankie, if you
yes, we got all day. This isn't like radio where we got like we have like 10 minutes. I'm like, no, this is a podcast. We can go as long as we want.
We're gonna that sounds like a challenge.
We are the
We're gonna
podcast.
all night.
Yes, woo, all nighter.
Okay, where should I start here? So
Long time ago.
yeah, literally. Uh oh shit, what was I gonna say? Okay, so I guess it all started from me doing stand-up comedy. And even that though, I kind of fell into it a little bit. Okay, oh yeah, I gotta even go back farther. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm so nervous to like forget any details. Okay. So, in grade school I was like super I loved theater and I always played the like comedic role in these like I went to drama fest, I did all these productions. Anyway, but then when I went to university I just stopped doing theater and acting and stuff and I think I was just like really intimidated and nervous. And then after I graduated, I then didn't know what I was doing. And then my brother, my oldest brother, his name is Tommy Green Jr. He's an entertainer as well. He's a musician, but he like is an entertainer musician. Anyway, he's awesome.
I would say, is it Tom Green? Like the Tom Green? That's what I
No,
thought for a second. I was like, what? I said, hold on a minute here.
what's so funny is actually my father is named Tom Green, but he is not Tom Green, I promise.
Not the Tom Green.
Not the, I mean, to me, he's the Tom Green, but I know you're not the Tom Green that you're thinking of. Anyway, so oh, and then so Tommy just I think like remembered that I used to be a performer and was trying to encourage me to get back into it. And then he like one time on a Friday night called me and he was like, "Hey Kristyn, what are you doing Sunday?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. Why?" And he was like, "I just booked you 5 minutes at this comedy club, and so now you have to write stand-up material. You're on." Like, and I was just like, okay, crazy. Anyway, so I did it and it was like didn't actually go that well, but then I tried it a few more times and it just felt like something I was like kind of I just like liked performing again after doing that for so long. And then that made me end up going to Second City in Toronto. So I learned that's where I started learning like improv, and I did take an acting class while I was there, but I didn't perform at all. Anyway, and then like being a comic in Toronto, I was like, wow, I need to make some money. I, so then my brother, same brother, works on cruise ships as a headliner. And anyway, and he told me about this hosting job where I can host game shows and I can host trivias and activities and stuff like that. So anyway, so I did that. I promise you this is going to come full circle. Okay.
I'm like, where the hell is this going?
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh, and then that day for lunch I had anyway. Um anyway, so that's where I started learning how to host live events. And I learned like I used some of my stand-up and I used some of my improv and all these things to now hone this skill where I could host something and whatever. And then when I came home, like since then, I've just kind of been growing more as a host and doing these things that I ended up producing a few of my own like live shows where it's like a variety show. Um, and I've just been loving it that to the point where I just recently decided that I was going to create an entertainment company out of it where I do like literally anything like because I can like produce a show for you. I can host it. I can do like workshops. I've done a bunch of different things like this. I even just started posting in wedding groups being like, hey, if you need someone to distract your guests while you do wedding photos, like I'll put on a game show. So it's it's like supposed to be encompassing like a bunch of things that I'm kind of already doing but trying to expand upon as well. And so
Do you
anyway,
do
that's
like kids parties and dress up as a clown and stuff
oh, I
too?
haven't yet, but honestly, Frankie, like, yeah, I could. Like, this is what I mean. Like, this is what I mean. I'm like, I don't like literally anything. Like, I feel like it's just like come to me and you're like, Kristyn, I want you to make a one-man show about, I don't know, seafood. And then I would be like, and I'd be like, okay, let's do it. And I would just do it. But isn't that similar to your entertainment company, Frankie? Because it seems like you do like podcasting and then like I saw you do some like theater stuff. And it seems like you're also pretty friggin' multifaceted.
Yeah, a little bit of, I mean, of course I still do like community theater and stuff like that
Cool.
with CM Productions is one I do with. And then of course there's mine where write, direct, produce, occasionally act in them sometimes as well too. But and then I'm also kind of trying to, because it's corporate entertainment, trying to make it a little bit more. So of course we have podcasts and maybe do what you do. Maybe we'll just do anything at
Yeah,
all. Like literally, like hell, we could collab. Let's just do a big collaboration or something.
I think we have to. I think we absolutely have to. Because you're right. It's so like, I love it. Feels like we're both just like game for anything. It's just like, yeah, sure. Why could like anything? Okay.
No, exactly. Well, like if you asked me like 10 years ago, do you see yourself doing something like this? I'd be like, yeah, no, I doubt it. But then
Right?
again, back then I had like no confidence in myself whatsoever. How about you? Is that a big, because I find I see that a lot with people in like entertainment and stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, I just don't like, I'm anxious. I don't
Mhm.
have the confidence." Like how do you deal with that if at all?
Oh, wow. That's a really heavy question that I'm excited to talk about. It's something I really struggled with when I was younger, especially like when I went to university and I just felt like all of a sudden, and I still like I only went to Mount A. That's like 2,000 students, like period. But it was just such a jump from my rural New Brunswick that like I felt incredibly, now looking back on it, I'm like, wow, you were so, it was you have social anxiety, like you are so and if there's a lot of people anyway, and so I struggle with that. And um I think it took me a long time to like feel comfortable in my skin, and I did a lot of that by like mimicking other people, I think too, where I'd be like, oh, this that looks like a confident person, so what are they doing? They're making eye contact, they're walking like they don't care, like if any, like they're not, you know what I mean, like they're it's so weird and fascinating. And then like, so instead of learning it, I think I just for a while started acting like I was, and then I, even though I wasn't, and which also then gave me anxiety. And then um and I think it's something that I do still struggle with, like especially being on camera and being like in a like doing live hosting. I wear really like, I usually wear like a tight dress, and every time I'm just like, oh, I feel so chubby and gross, and like you can't help but like, you just can't help but think that way. And then you just have to try to be like, I see so many people in our industry who are just like still so confident and just feels like so, and then you're just like, oh, I gotta learn to try to be better like that. I don't know. It's a struggle, honestly. I don't know how to. I don't think I ever found a solution.
No, and well, it's because it's so funny. I find it's mainly in the entertainment industry where, because they're on billboards and they're big
Mhm.
movies around the world, and then you see them in interviews. They're like, yeah, they seem so confident. How do they do it? And then you hear them talking in interviews where they're like, no, no, I dealt with this and I dealt with that, and I don't know why it seems like it's always in the entertainment industry where we see a lot of it. Like him, he's depressed. No, he's fine. Like
Oh,
it affects everyone differently.
it's 100%. And I think like it's the like one of the highest like, sorry, one of the industries for the highest like drug use and substance abuse, because and for that same reason, like I think especially in specifically comedy, like it's so hard. It's a different kind of a pressure than just going out and performing your lines or something like that. But going out, especially doing stand up where you're like just by yourself and you have to go up and like make people laugh is just like such a mind fuck. Like it totally is. And so I know a lot of people like have to drink to get up there and drink to feel loose. And then if they have a bad time, then you have to drink because you feel bad, and or it feels really good. So then you want to drink. Like it's just like it's such a it's hard to get out of. I'm not saying that I'm perfect in it either. Like, oh my God, it's taken anyway. Uh, but yeah, you're right. It's just like I don't know if anybody's actually figured it out. And if they have, like let me know. But I think it's something you struggle with kind of for a while. I don't know if it's ever gonna go away.
Well, it's funny. Well, people say like, "Are you not anxious?" No, I'm not anxious. I'm like bullshit. Like that's
Yeah.
that's kind of what I say. I'm like, you're not anxious. Like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
think everyone to a degree is.
Oh,
Like, do you get what I get sometimes, which is called the pre-show jitters, where it's like right before you're like, oh my god, what if I mess this up? Like, what if I mess that up? Well, especially for you in stand-up, where it's different for a play where there's like if there's like 10 of us on stage, like okay, if I fuck up, I'm not gonna be the only one who fucks up. But like for
right.
stand up, it's all you know what I mean? So how do you deal with like pre-show jitters?
Oh, that's a really good question. I I think I use it. Like I again, like that's something I think that people like definitely would have a drink to try to help calm their nerves. And it's something I used to do a lot, but I've noticed recently how much even now like one drink can make me slower of a performer. Like I just don't feel as sharp. So now I don't drink anything before I perform. And and so you're right. Like I'm like jittery and anxious, and usually like I'm my foot's just like like I'm but then I use it. I think like I go up and I used to try to like act like I was not anxious, but then I've learned that like if I kind of just use it and people uh take to it to being like I think like um yeah, just being like look I'm excited and also nervous to be and also nervous for me to be up here, and so that's probably how we do it. That's probably how I deal with it.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, like
But,
that's one thing that even like performers sometimes do, like, or like singers and
yeah,
stuff. I'm like, I don't know how they could do that, like singers, because stand-up comedy, like, yeah, you're just making people laugh, but if you're going up and you're drinking and you're playing a guitar, like, how do you do that?
I have no idea. I actually think about that all the time, Frankie, because I've noticed that too. People like having like I'm friends with a lot of musicians, and I see them like drinking the whole show, and they're still, and I'm just like, how are you not screwing up with like I'm so noticeably a little bit dumber once I've had like once I've had a beer, which is funny anyway. But yeah, it's I think I just am an anxious person, and I'm it's no sense trying like not trying to be, you know what I'm trying to say. I
No,
don't
yeah, no. You
I'm
you can
anxious
never
right
tell. Yeah,
now.
you can never tell though, especially because I mean, of course we had the O'Donnell's premiere and you had a little stand up before then, and so now I get to say I saw Kristyn Green live, bitches. Like
Oh,
and
that's amazing,
how
Frankie.
how drunk were you that night?
Oh, thank you. Not actually, that was the day that I made a conscious decision to be like, you know what? I'm here. Because I knew it was the premiere at first, and I was like excited to go and have fun. And then afterwards, Jimmy called me and asked if I wanted to host it. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. But in my brain, I was like, oh, but it's not a real professional. Like, we're still trying to all be friends. So I had a couple of beers that night.
Oh, I still remember that because remember I was sitting by the bar, you and
Yeah.
your husband Vince came over, and
Yeah.
then you were kind of like, "Fuck, man, like I get like Jimmy just asked me like just recently, I gotta learn my shit and this and that." I was like, "Oh, but, but you did great. You did great."
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. My parents came that night too. My parents did. I don't know if I told you that, but my parents surprised me and showed up that night.
Oh,
And
really? No, don't think I knew that.
oh, it was so cool. They live like we live like 3.5 hours away, probably. Like they're from my parents' house, and they live in Florenceville.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, and or like anyway, actually Centerville, which is like actually Lower Oxford, anyway, because you know rural New Brunswick. Anyway, um, and anyway, they completely surprised me. So that was the other thing is I opened up the door and like and there's a stage. Remember how the stage was like at the front of O'Donnell's? I
Yeah.
literally open up the door and I like see the stage and I see Jimmy and my dad talking like on the and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Anyway, so they surprised me and came that night. That was really cool.
Does that add an extra level of anxiety or pressure when there's like your parents are out there?
Oh,
Well, like especially like stand up, like it can be real raunchy and this and that. And you're
oh my
like,
God.
I don't want my mom to hear this. I don't want my grandma to hear this. Like, how do I deal with this? Like, there's so much pressure.
That's such a funny question because it is something that we have to maneuver, me and my parents. Like, because yes, it does. Even like, and like they're good at they're good at being sports about it. Like there was one time when I was in Toronto and I brought them to a comedy show, and it was to this date like the worst material, like not like bad material, just like dirtiest, most offensive, awful, awful, awful material I've ever heard in my whole life, like the whole night. And they just, you could tell that they're so uncomfortable, but they're trying so hard to be supportive, and it's really nice. Like, so I do, if they're watching me, I do alter what I'm I do like turn it a little bit more PG. But the funniest, because they're just really such supportive parents. They actually came to my last live show that I co-produced with my brother Tommy, who's a musician. It's both of our birthdays in, like, we have birthdays a couple days apart, so we made this big live show co-birthday with like me and my performers that I know, and then him and his band. And anyway, my parents came to it, and I warned them so many times because I knew I was going to do this. I like sometimes do burlesque dancing. And so and it was like, and it was like, hey, like this is gonna anyway. And they were like, and my dad had that day was like, okay, two questions for you. One, how comfortable do you think we would be coming? And how comfortable would you be with us coming? And I was both times like, you can come, but like I'm not gonna censor my act, and like I'm doing I'm doing anyway. And they still came. Like they still came, and they I think that they were like closing their eyes probably, but like they just at the end of the day just will support anything that I do.
They're like, are you making a living off this? Yeah. Okay, that's all that matters. Like that's all it comes down to. Like
That's so funny.
that's what dads are like too. They're just like,
Yeah.
well, you making money? You know, are they paying you? Yeah. Okay, good. You know, like
Well,
you could
all
be
right
like,
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dad, I got hired on at OnlyFans. Well, are they paying you? Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, go ahead. Whatever. Do whatever
Yeah.
you
All right. It's gonna be a long winter. That's what my dad always says.
It's
Anyway.
gonna be a long winter.
Yeah, just like anytime, like when it mean like you gotta save up or like I don't know, like hoard your things. It's just like it's gonna be a long winter. Anyway,
That's like his catchphrase. Gonna be a long
yeah,
winter.
I guess one of many. One of many.
Oh my God. So you live in Halifax right now, correct? Is that where
Yeah,
you're? Yeah.
you
What's it like? Uh, so of
do.
course, like with O'Donnell's, you came back to Miramichi to film that, and then back for the premiere and stuff like that. What's it like going from such a big town to coming
Mm.
here where it's like every person is your cousin? Like,
It's
like it's such a
surreal.
small town. You're like, oh, there's my cousin. Oh, that's my stepbrother. That's this and that. Even Jimmy said that during his act. He said he dated his cousin.
It's so funny. It's so funny because that's also exactly where I'm from. Like, is that to a T? Like everybody knows everybody, and so it's weird because how do I say this? It's like in Halifax though too, like it although it's a big city, like I often run into people I know. Like you kind of find these hubs of people. So it actually doesn't feel like when I lived in Toronto, I was like, this is, I felt so isolated. I felt like I didn't, because I was used to like, yeah, knowing who lived beside me and actually knowing like all the secrets of everyone in the town. But anyway, in, in Toronto, you just like, I just felt like an absolute nobody. But then Halifax, I think is just such a perfect in between where it's like, it is a city and there is like these infrastructures here and there are these industries here, but I do like run into people on the street, which is always fun and I like. And then I come home and I think like I'm trying to think like what the biggest shock is actually. I think oh, it's so interesting. It's interesting how like there's not a lot of things open. I think that's the biggest thing is um like we have I maybe one bar, even then I think it felt like it closed down, like in our hometown. We're like in my brain, like living in Halifax, I'm like I have a bar across the street, I have one downtown, I have one below me, I have another on the side. And so it's just like going home and kind of being isolated from everything and everything being a lot slower is so interesting. When I was a kid, I thought that I would live in the country growing up, but like now more and more I'm like, nah, I think I'm gonna be in the city. I like being able to like walk to places. You know what I mean? Like, because in New Brunswick, like, you can't walk anywhere. You can't walk to. You have to drive everywhere. Like, it's just not big. Like, it's not big enough. You know, or not small enough. I mean, um, I feel like I haven't even answered your question. I'm
No,
like
that's
going
fine.
around.
Well, it's hard to answer. That one there is a tricky one because that's like
I'm going around in circles,
it's
like
like
being
going
like,
from New York to
oh,
like, something real small. I don't know, like
yeah, it's
Miramichi.
literally like I think that for me, I didn't really notice it even until like I brought my husband home for the first time and I had to like I just like first thing we do is like we go into the grocery store and I like know the cashier and then I know this person in this line and then all of a sudden I'm on my way out and then I like see this person I'm like oh I went to high school with this person and like they and then when I go home too and like and then I tell my mom being like oh mom I ran into so and so and they're like oh isn't that like this person's daughter and I'm like oh close it's this person's actual daughter from Juniper not the Glassful Johns like the like you know what I mean and then I
Yeah.
think he was just like where are you from like this is where do you
I'm not sure if I told you this or not, but you know my cousin Emily Colford.
yeah
Well, yeah, that was something. Yeah, she just randomly messaged me after I posted the Odon's premiere stuff, and she sent me a picture of you guys in university. I was like, oh my god, isn't that a small world?
no way
Yeah,
that's
I'll have to
so
send that to you. Shout out to you, Emily, if you're listening to
sweet.
this, by the way.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hi, Emily. That's so sweet. Please send that to me. That's so funny. And
I
it's
will.
such
Yeah,
a
yeah,
small.
it was just very just. Oh, hey, yeah, I know her, and then she just sent to me. I was like, oh my god, isn't that something?
That's so funny. And actually, it's like I actually feel like especially in all of the Maritimes, I think this is applicable. Like anytime you're like, oh, I'm from New Brunswick, and then someone's like, oh, do you know so and so? And then they like think you're joking, but it's like, no, I actually might. Like I like, you know what I mean?
He
Like
might be
there's
my cousin.
yeah, like more often than not, I'm like, oh, do you know this? Like, oh, I like anyway, I'm like, oh, tell me who you know from there. And they're like, oh my gosh, actually, can I tell you my best example of this? This one blew
Oh
my
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
There was a time when I was working on the cruise ship, and we were it was out of Australia and New Zealand. And so we were like, I was in New Zealand and I was seeing some guests off the ship. And then one of them, like a couple, we like chatted for a little bit. And then it ended up like they were from New York. And I said I was from Halifax. And then they were like, oh, our nephew lives in Halifax. And I was like, oh, what's his name? And they like laughed and they're like, oh, haha, Sean. And I was like, oh, Sean. And I was like, Sean, this person? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I worked with him for 2 summers. Like, I know exactly who you're talking about. And it was just like, and it was crazy to me to be like, we're in New Zealand right now. And I know this, like, and like, there's this connection on literally the other side of the world, like with these people. Like, it was just weird. Like, it was really surreal.
Well, it's so funny. Well, because then it's also when you're in such a small area, you're almost scared to talk shit about people you don't
Yeah.
like because you're like because I think that happened a few times. We're talking about some teacher that we don't like. Oh, that teacher. Oh, yeah, bitch. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's my mom or that's my stepmom. It's like, oh, whoops. So it's like, yeah, that's why remember she. It's like you gotta be so careful about who you talk shit
Yes.
about. So I normally started off with, so and so. He's a really nice person. This person. No, he's an asshole. Oh yeah, no, you're right. He is an
Oh,
asshole.
okay. Like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God you think so too.
Thank God. I'm like, that's normally my go-to now because just to avoid any awkward conversations. But I want to ask you about this. I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I saw you did a Walking Dead fan film
Ah,
Frostbite I watched, and I was like, wow, I was blown away by that. Can you tell me a little bit about that
oh my
film? That was
gosh, I am honored. I am so happy that you watched it. Biggest, okay, so I literally, it was all the creator, like director, writer, co-producer, Chelsea Camo. And Chelsea Camo, I've been lucky enough to know her for a few years now, and she is an incredible DOP, which is a, if any listeners don't know, director of photography. So she's like in charge of the cameras and how it looks and all this stuff. And I've worked with her several times, and she's just a badass. I have never. She's just such a badass.
when you pause, you're like, she is such a bitch. I was like, are we
Yeah,
talking shit about people now again? Like, what are we?
we're back.
We're back to talking shit about people.
You know, she's a really nice person. No, she's a
Just
anyway.
kidding, Chelsea. You're a lovely person.
She's incredible. She's incredible. Anyway, she's a huge Walking Dead fan and goes to like all the conventions. Like I think knows all the cast members personally from going. Anyway,
Wow.
it's crazy. And so she wrote this Walking Dead fan film, and then uh and then just was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it. And like we're lucky enough, like I have a few friends who we all try to help each other out because like making like doing film is expensive. Like the equipment is one thing, but like people's time is expensive. Like you need to pay people. So I was lucky, like I had this kind of group of friends who we all, when we have a passion project like that or something like that, we try to do our best to just help each other out with it. Like Chelpy, sorry, I call her Chelpy because
Shelby.
that's her nickname. I'm so
Shelby.
sorry. I call her Chelsea.
Sound like
Anyway,
you're saying, "Help me, help me." That's what it sounded like.
that's so funny. Oh my god, no, her name. Okay, her name is Chelsea, but I, as her nickname, call her Chelsea. Anyway, so I just by accident called her Chelsea. Anyway, um, anyway, she did the same for me. Even like when I produced this like Halcon special thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But she did the same where she like helped me out. So yeah, she was just like, I want to make this, and I did audition for it, but like she also is my friend, so I felt like she was gonna give it to me. And it was just such a unique, interesting script too, because it was like I haven't like really watched that much of The Walking Dead in a long time, and it was like just being able to act in fear and like it was the end of the world, and then like I don't want to spoil anything because I think people should see it, but there's like this pretty emotional, it's the most emotional scene I've ever done in my whole life. And like and that was crazy. Like it was, so it was just such an interesting thing that it was just a passion project. Like everybody that worked on that film just came together to do it uh together and to do it like for her too because she's awesome.
And
But
it turned out so good.
oh, thank you for saying. It's
So
like
good.
I think so too. It actually like blows my mind how good it looks. Like it just, oh, it's awesome.
It's better than some of the stuff they put out in the universe. There's some stuff that's
Oh,
then I'm like, I could have gotten away with that, so maybe we'll hire her on to be a showrunner.
oh, that's sweet. Don't tell me
There's
that. I don't know that much, and I know yeah that they like have a bunch of like spin-offs or something, but like I don't know
Yeah,
anything.
there's a lot, which actually, yeah, that's what we'll be discussing later on in the show today, by the way. Yeah, there's a little plug. Stick around for the end of the show.
Oh,
But yeah, no, some of the spin-offs I'm like, I could go without. But
yeah.
Frostbite is one that I think would be an excellent spin-off.
Oh, that's so nice, Frankie. Thank you for saying that.
And that came
That's
out when that come out? That came out a few months ago, didn't it? No,
yeah,
it was just fairly recently.
that was several months ago, and we shot it like about a year ago now, almost like in April or May of last year. Um, yeah, it was just so weird actually because that technically was like the first acting I'd done in so many years, and so and it was just weird that yeah, I haven't acted in forever, and then all of a sudden the same year I like did this thing for my friend Chelsea, and then I got O'Donnell's. And it was just like, oh, this is weird. I guess I like kind of anyway. Today, even I just completed. I made my very first actor reel, and I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah, thank you.
Is
And
that
so
going up
like,
on the Instagram too? Is that
um,
where we're gonna see it or
probably not. I'm too nervous. I think.
Oh, we just had a big discussion about this. Don't be nervous.
I know, you're right. Remember, I said I never got over it. I'm still anxious. Oh
Still,
God, I'm still
are you
anxious.
Italian? That's
I don't know why. I didn't mean to.
I said, hey, I'm an anxious. That's what it sounded
I didn't mean
like.
to. My husband's Italian. I'm allowed to. I'm
Oh,
allowed.
is he Italian? Really?
Yeah, he is. He is. He is. Half.
Hey, he still does the thing with the hands.
No,
There we
I'm
go.
trying. No, I'm trying to get him back into it though.
Yeah, he stopped. He retired it a long
Yeah,
time ago.
that's funny.
Oh, but
Oh,
Christian, not Christian.
oh, that's
Kristen.
okay. It happens all the time. That's really okay.
Kristen. It's probably because one of my co-hosts for our Thursday segment is named Christian. So
Oh,
Kristen Green. Kristen, I could talk to you all day about this stuff.
yeah,
But I think just fantastic. It's just so great
oh.
that you agree to come on. I mean, like, hey, you're a Miss Hollywood now after all the stuff you've done. So you very easily could have just said, no, I'm not some podcast. Yeah, no, I'm not
No
gonna do that.
way.
But I was so happy to have you on. Where can people find you on social media and stuff? And any tour dates or anything like that coming up soon that you want to plug or?
That's nice. Probably the best is like on Facebook or Instagram, but also making sure you spell my name right. It's Kristyn. But on Instagram, I go at like at Kristyn Green. What's yours? Is my username. And those two are probably my most active stuff. But Frankie, thank you for having me. And I never like I actually today because I was working on my Devon reel, I rewatched the scene that you were into in O'Dawn's. And it's so funny, like just because you have the three of you and then Alex too, and it's just like, oh my God. Anyway, it was just so fun. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to get to know you.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I don't have to be intimidated by you anymore. I'm like,
No, you
okay, Kristen
don't.
is a sweetheart. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like she's like so, and fingers crossed that O'Donnell's gets a season 2 because I'd love to
I
see
hope
what
so.
Zoe does. Do you have any ideas as to like where you'd want to see the show go next, or is it kind of?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know if I've thought about it only because I'm so scared to jinx it. Because I would really like a season two. So I haven't been, but I wonder, like, I feel like there's definitely there's more with Zoe and Maggie. Like they were starting to become like anyway, I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah,
Yes,
they
that's right. Guys, watch
near the
O'Donnell's.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch O'Dawn's, but it just felt like we were gonna blossom our little characters. We're gonna start. I don't know. I hope to just still be sassy because that was fun.
That's a very yeah no like it's just your sasses is like yeah all my public drinking fines and you're
Yeah.
drinking it in public. That part there was so funny. I laughed so hard at that. Spoiler alert, guys, by the way. But watch
Oh,
O'Donnell's, guys. Watch O'Donnell's. It's so good. And Kristen's fantastic in it, and as the rest of the cast, Jimmy, Abby, just everybody, and everybody's so nice too. Oh my gosh, like
oh, everybody is so
you
nice.
you think of those shows, you're like, oh my God, are these people like real stuck up? Are they like that? No, I'm like, oh my God, everybody on the show is just
Oh,
so sweet because you have all these thoughts and like how people who are on TV shows are, and they're just thinking, oh yeah, I'm on top of the world kind of thing. But
yeah.
none of you guys were like that. And I love
Oh,
that so much. And
I felt
so,
that too. That's nice. I felt that too. Just best, like incredible. One of the best weeks of my life, hands down.
and then once we stop recording, Kristen's like, yeah, fuck, I hate every fucking one of
Yeah.
this. But guys, we are going to take a short break. We'll be right, or I'll be back, but Kristen won't be back. But until then, this is Frankie and Chris. I keep saying Christian. Why do I keep
Okay.
saying Kristen? Kristen,
Thank
Frankie, and Kristen signing off. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Frankie. And don't worry, everybody. Talk about that. Don't worry.
Don't
Don't worry about it.
worry about it. Okay, I won't.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cork and Entertainment Show. That was me and Kristyn Green. Thank you, Kristyn, for coming on. And guys, be sure to check out O'Donn's on Bell 5 TV1 and follow Kristyn on social media, Instagram, Kristyn Green, what's yours? And just show some support and just what a talent, what a great talent, and just hilarious, and had a blast with that conversation. So thank you again, Kristyn, for coming on to the show today. So I wanted to talk about Jonathan Majors. I haven't talked about him for a while on the show. I think the last time I talked about him was it was a while ago, like probably December, back when the trial verdict came out. So of course he's had some controversy with, of course, he was found guilty of these abuse allegations and all that stuff like that. The lawsuit was going on for almost a whole year, and it ultimately ended with he was found guilty. He was fired from all his projects. Marvel removed him from Kang, so the Kang dynasty is no longer a thing. They're gonna have to find something else for Avengers 5. And so I always said that, or thought that, okay, there is a chance for him to come back from this. Like, there is a chance. I don't want to put money on it because, I mean, I'm sure the things could change. Well, things are changing now, because this article is from NBC News. Marvel actor Jonathan Majors' ex-girlfriend sues him for defamation and assault. So actor Jonathan Majors' ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari sued him in federal court Tuesday, 3 months after a New York City jury convicted him of assaulting and harassing her. Jabari, a British dancer who was suing Majors, the former Marvel actor, alleging defamation, malicious prosecution, assault, and battery in the Southern District of New York, alleges in the court papers that Majors physically abused her several other times during their nearly 2-year relationship, the first time in July 2022. And she alleges in the lawsuit that since Majors was convicted in December, he has continued to attack her reputation. Now, and then it kind of just goes on. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with this. And the thing is that a lot of this is, this is something with people. Everybody wants to say, like, they just jump to conclusions and they'll say this needs to happen, that needs to happen, until we get proof or maybe not proof, but something else, because all we're getting is just reports. You know what I mean? Like, none of us were there during this. You know what I mean? But I kind of wanted to talk about, I'm not going to go into the specifics of it because I'm not, a lawyer or legal mind of any sorts. But I kind of wanted to talk about what this means for Jonathan Majors, because I said back when he was found guilty that I still think that there is a chance he can come back from this, unlike other actors like Amber Heard. I don't think she can come back, or if she does, it's going to be very difficult. She's climbing out of a really, really steep hole there. But I said that I think there's a chance he could come back, at least not right now. If he does, it would take a few years. It would take, some time to, build up and everything. He's faced the consequences. He was fired from all his projects. I like to think people who are held accountable for their actions, whether he did it or not, I don't know. That's just, it's a tricky situation all around. But I've always said that I think he could still come back. However, it's going to be difficult. And now with more allegations coming out towards him, and as it gets investigated and it goes a little further, what else they could find, who knows? You know what I mean? So this can get really ugly really fast. So if more information comes out that is detrimental to his case and hurts him, I think his career's done. I really do think his career is over. As I said, there's a chance, like I said, before all this, these new allegations and accusations came out, I said that there's a chance that he could come back, but it's going to be difficult. And now this is making it even more difficult. And if, this goes to trial again, and if more people come out and say this and that, then yeah, I think his career's done. really. Uh yeah, it's a tricky situation, and it's crazy cuz this all happened right as his career was just starting to take off. Really, because of course he was going to be Kang. That's a huge thing. And I like to think that he's a terrific actor. I mean, there's no I like to think about it. I think he is a terrific actor. But yeah, no, goddamn, man. Like it's so hard to say because like none of us were there. Like I know a lot of people will jump to conclusions as if they were in the room when it happened. Like and that's the problem with a lot of this. Um, and so yeah, it's very crazy now, and I don't really have opinions on this. Like it's crazy because like I said, like Majors says, like here, I'm gonna go back to the article. Apparently, in an attempt to salvage his acting career, Majors continued to deny harming Jabari in an interview with ABC News in January and insisted that he had witnessed domestic abuse and he had never done it himself. I have never hit a woman. My hands have never struck a woman ever, Majors said. Um, and then Jabari in her lawsuit said Majors was trying to rash her. Now that Majors can no longer physically abuse Grace, he has resorted to very publicly abusing her reputation, her lawsuit says. Following his arrest, Majors immediately implemented an extensive media campaign smearing Grace, claiming that he was completely innocent, is probably the victim, and that he did not assault her whatsoever, and that this woman was having an emotional crisis for which she was taken to the hospital. Oh man, it's crazy. But if this continues on the way it is, it's only throwing him and digging a bigger hole for him, and it's going to be harder for him to climb out of it. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see what comes of it, because it's too soon to say right now if this means his career's done, this and that. I'm not going to say nothing right yet, but it's not looking good. It's really not looking good because with actors with controversies and stuff surrounding them. Yes, of course, he had someone like Robert Downey Jr. who was able to bounce back, but after he faced accountability for his problems, he went on. He tried to better himself, and he went forward with his life. If he's going if Jonathan Majors is going with a smear campaign, it's only gonna and anyways, like I said, it's all he said, she said, and it's really, really difficult. And I don't really want to talk about like the legal aspects of it because I have no, I have no say in this because I am no legal expert. I'm none of that. I'm no lawyer. I can't say one way or another what will happen or what won't happen. All I can do is just give my opinions from what I see. And being that this is also a entertainment podcast, that's as far as I'm going to go is to just talk about how we think this will affect the movies that we see. So anyways, that's my thoughts on it. We'll just have to wait and see, but all I can say is that it's not looking good, and if this goes any further, then I think his career's done. If anything else comes of this, if more women start coming out and saying stuff, then yeah, no, like it's not looking good for him. So anyways, we'll just have to wait and see, but those are my thoughts up to current date. We'll see how this develops. And just something that I forgot about here, guys, before we move on to the last discussion. I forgot off the top of the show when I was plugging the events, I forgot. Some of you guys may see on our social media that we have a new performance with Judy Loge, Kara Scott, Veronica Arsenault, Rachel Bernard, and Samantha Murphy. Yes, we are doing Love, Loss, and What I Wore at James M. Hill this May. I don't know if I can say that, but it's coming in May. Dates and more details and stuff are to be finalized soon. I guess maybe I didn't think about it off the top of the show because we don't have dates confirmed yet, but I do know when we're looking. But anyways, so just so you guys know, yeah, Love, Loss, and What I Wore coming this May to James M. Hill and starring some wonderfully talented ladies that I'm super excited to show you guys what we've been working on. So anyways, more details come about that. I just realized halfway through here, I said, oh shit, I forgot to bring that up. But yeah, stay tuned for that coming soon. So anyways, guys, moving on to our last solo discussion today. This is something, it's a topic that I never thought I would ever be talking about, because it's funny. Our very second episode, we were talking about, are these Walking Dead movies happening? What's going on with them? Of course, we had Rick Lee, The Walking Dead, and then, of course, they announced that they're doing 3 movies, and then they released a teaser for it, and then a pandemic hit, and then we just didn't hear nothing until like 3 years later, when we found out that instead of the 3 movies, we're getting 6 episodes of a limited series, which was The Ones Who Live. And I think, because I reviewed the premiere back when it first came out in February, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. And so here we are now at the end of it. And so this is so yeah, I'm just trying to like collect my thoughts here, because on one hand, it was fantastic. The other hand, there were parts that were a little rushed. But anyways, I'll kind of, before I go off on any tangents here. So The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, normally how I do my reviews of TV shows or movies, I start with the pros, I start with the cons, and then I give it a score out of 10 and just my overall summarized thoughts. So The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, of course, this takes place after 6 years after Rick was taken by the CRM. And then of course Michonne left the following year, and then now we have this epic love story that they call The Ones Who Live. So 6 episodes. I watched it on AMC Plus, and overall, I love the show. The pros, I'd start off Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero. Now, of course, these two not just played Rick and Michonne, they also had a part in production. The show starts off, it says created by Scott Gimple, who was the showrunner for years, Andrew Lincoln, and Denai Guerrero. And I always love when the actors are involved with the creative process. There's something about that I've always loved, and it's a reason why I like shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because it's created, written, produced by Charlie Day, Glenn Howerton, and all them, and Rob McElhenney. And so you feel a real sense of, there's something about it when the people who are not just acting in the show, that they're also writing and producing and directing when they can. It just adds an extra layer, and it really, really solidifies that this is really a passion project. And of course, we had Denai Guerrero, who wrote episode 4. It was episode 4, I believe it was, which I think is one of the best episodes of the entire universe, to be honest with you. Not the whole universe, but like the Walking Dead universe, I mean. If it was going to be the whole universe, then yeah, it's like, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Anyways, so yeah, she wrote what is one of the best episodes of the series, which was, kind of just like a Rick and Michonne. Some people might consider it a bottle episode. Now, also, I'm going to try not to spoil things too much. This is kind of like my spoilery review, but basically, episode that was written by Denai Guerrero, some may consider a bottle episode. I thought it was very necessary, and the way it was written made it one of the best episodes of the entire Walking Dead universe, I think. And it also could be because Denai Guerrero, of course, is a playwright. And I think the way she wrote it, it felt very much like a stage play. That was the kind of vibe that I got from it. And you guys know me, I'm a big theater buff. So that concept right there, or that comparison right off the bat, would be, okay, yeah, of course. It's gonna work for me no matter what. So the writing was terrific. The writing was absolutely terrific, and it just really helped that you had the stars of the show be involved with the creative process and the writing and producing, creating, and all that stuff. Next pro, I gotta say, it was a very satisfying conclusion to Rick and Michonne's story, in my opinion. Now, of course, I'm not going to give too much spoilery details on, how the story ends, but it was, I think, the perfect ending. There was no better way that if this is the end. Now at the time of this recording, I don't know if there's a season 2, but if there isn't a season 2, then that's fine. I think this is the perfect way. There was no better way that they could have ended it. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with how it ended. I'm very satisfied. And like I said, if we never saw season 2, it's fine, because the show wrapped up in a nice, neat bow, and their stories ended pretty much perfectly. There was no better way that they could have ended. And then, of course, I gotta say the scale. This was the first thing that came up when I was doing my review of the premiere episode. Is that it felt very movie-like, and that still remains true throughout the whole series. You can see, I think, well, I think it was better to do it this way than the movies. I would have loved, honestly, maybe I would have preferred to see it as a movie just because, having to see it in theaters, I just think that would have been a whole exciting experience. Avengers Endgame, No Way Home-esque type stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But overall, yeah, it was the perfect way to do it as a, mini series or ongoing series. Who knows what's going to happen with it? But yeah, it was just, the scale was unbelievable, and they had like $100 million budget or something like that for this. It was a huge budget, so they weren't going to waste it. That's for sure. They certainly were not going to waste it, nor should they. So those are the pros. So of course the performances, the writing, the ending was very satisfying. The scale, budget, all that stuff. Those are the pros. Now the cons. No show is perfect unless you're a Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, but there were some cons to this. And I'm not going to spoil much. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. The ending I thought was, while it was satisfying to Rick and Michonne's story, I also thought it was rushed. A little. The last episode, I thought it was just like, oh crap. It was like they set up way too much stuff, and then once it got to the last episode, it was like, all right, this is the last episode. We got to wrap this up. Now that might change. My opinion might change depending on if we get a season 2. If we get a season 2, then maybe my outlook on it will change. But as it's set to be a miniseries, and with that, I just think that it was just kind of like they needed to wrap it up in some way, and they set it up, and then that's when they decided it's going to be a miniseries, and we got to just close things off and make it. So, yeah, that's my, like, you can tell I'm struggling because I don't want to say too much that might spoil it, but I just think, yeah, I'm like, it was the ending, the finale episode in particular was very, very rushed, and that affects the overall impact of the story. You know what I mean? Or how you would look on it. The finales can either make or break a series, and with how this finale was kind of rushed, while it had its great moments, it was a bit rushed in my opinion, and that kind of tainted the overall look on it. And then I thought, throughout the series, they rely too much on flashes to the past. And I don't think that's really spoilery to say. I'm just going to say stuff will be happening. They're killing zombies or whatever. And it's flashing to the past constantly. And to me, it was way too much. And it was unnecessary, in my opinion, to have that much. It's like, we get it. We know these characters. We've spent like 10 years with them. We don't need to see what's, like, I don't know. Like, to me, that was a lot. And it kind of ruined a lot of parts of it to me, in my opinion. So almost like too much exposition. It's like they wanted us to see, look what's going on in their mind. It's like, okay, but we don't need to see that. We know these characters. We know what they're going through. Where we see, Rick is having these dreams of Michonne that are constant throughout the episodes. It's like, no, we get it. He misses his wife. Like, you don't need to spell it out for us. I think that's what it is. Too much exposition, I'd say. Too much exposition. And it kind of just killed the flow a bit, in my opinion. And then also, probably the last con that I could really think of the show was, yes, I know that this was set out to be a love story of Rick and Michonne, and so I know some people say, oh, like, I wish the CRM got more attention, this and that. It's like, true, but at the end of the day, they were promoting this as this is a love story between Rick and Michonne. Now, that's a good thing or a bad thing. My opinion, yes, it was necessary because, they've been separated for, like 8 years, 6 years, like a long time. To me, it got too much sometimes. Much like the exposition, the love story got a bit too much at some points where, oh my God, this, like, without spoiling too much, like, let's just say all hell's breaking loose around them, the world's falling apart, and then they just decide to have sex randomly. Like, to me, I'm just like, really? Is that necessary? I get it's a love story, but there were some times where it was getting too much to the point where I'm like, okay, this isn't what people would do. I get that you guys have been separated for 10 years or so, or like just about a decade. But come on, guys, there's a time and a place, and there were times where too much is going on, and then, hey, do you want to have sex? Okay, sure. And then they just have sex right then and there. I'm like, come on, and I get it. I know people are going to say, oh, it's a love story, it was supposed to be like that. I know, but there's a time and a place to do that stuff, and I don't know, it was just the way that they were doing it. Sometimes I was just I wasn't really a fan of. But anyway, so yeah, those are the cons, really. Those are really the only cons I could think of, to be honest with you. So, the cons, I said too much exposition, the ending was rushed, and the love story was too much sometimes. But overall, I gotta say, I really love the show. If, do I want a season 2? It'd be nice to have a season 2, but I'm going to say no. I don't really want a season 2, to be honest with you. I thought this was a great ending to their story. I thought it was well worth the wait. That's one thing. I said, is it going to be worth the wait? Because we've been waiting like 6 years for it. And I can definitively say, yes, it was well worth the wait. We'll probably go into more spoilery discussions. Sean and Kyle are going to be back on the show at some point within the next little while, and we'll discuss full spoilers about it for people who want to hear it. And yeah, it just great show overall. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, which I know might be low compared to what I might have ranked other series, but no, overall, I mean, for 6 episodes, it was really, really good. They could have cut some stuff out and focus a bit more, and have the finale not feel as rushed. But it is what it is. Overall, like I said, as long as it was worth the wait and the hype was worth it, then I think that's all that matters. And I think I'm good without seeing Rick and Michonne anymore. I mean, like, if they pop up again, I'll be happy with it. But Andrew Lincoln in particular, I mean, we've seen Denai Guerrero go off and do amazing things, in Black Panther, and she's a playwright as well. I want to see Andrew Lincoln go off and do more things. Like, he's done some theater himself. He's done Christmas Carol. He's done lots of other amazing things, and I want to see what more he does. I want to see him in like a new big blockbuster film, hopefully soon. And, now that, Rick's story has wrapped up, I said he can't move on from Walking Dead without getting a proper conclusion. And now that we had that, I'm satisfied. I don't need to see anymore. But if we do, I'll take it. So anyways, guys, so those are my thoughts on The Ones Who Live. For those of you guys who saw it, some of you guys might be like, what's The Ones Who Live? I haven't seen the show in years. Like Kristyn was saying, in the show, she's like, I haven't kept up with the show lately, but I know there's like 20 different shows for it now. I'm like, yeah, that's true. There is. But anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. And guys, we are going to call for the show there today. I want to thank Kristyn Green for coming on the show. Check her out on Instagram, Kristyn Green, What's Yours? And check her out on O'Donnell's as well. She's fantastic in that. Check out Frostbite, a Walking Dead fan film that she was also in. And happy Easter, guys, or happy belated Easter. Hope it was a great one this year, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. We got some good stuff coming for you this week. And by the way, I should note, I'm forgetting a lot today. It's weird. There's no Thursday Think Tank this week due to some scheduling conflicts. We'll be back the following Thursday, which is what date does that fall on? That will fall on April 11th. So the Thursday Think Tank will be back April 11th. There were just some scheduling conflicts this week with Christian's schedule and then, of course, my schedule, so we weren't able to get one out. But we'll be back April 11th, and, of course, we'll have our regular episode out on Tuesday. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Until then, this is Franky signing off. Have a great week, and we'll hope to see you guys around at some of the events this weekend. Have a great one.